Is that the end of it, or will there be more life from this project? Is there a legacy, I suppose, to use a pompous word?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beginning of the next part of this project, because at the same time that the film transmits on television, we're going to launch the Britain in a Day archive, and that's going to grow over the next few months. But the first stage will, when the film goes out, will be that all the source films, so the films that you made, will be available online, and will be trailing from the television, so that people can then go, inspired by the film, I hope, to go and explore, because so many of you had much longer stories, obviously, that there'll be a chance for the audience to go and see your stories. And then through the summer, we're working with around 26 universities now, working with the students to re-look again at all those films that submitted, and then we'll be releasing them. We're doing it in regional batches, so onto the archive, and it'll be a chance to... When you submitted your film, you remember there was a chance to tag against certain themes. Well, we've built the archive so that you'll be able to go back and search through the archive along those themes, so you can search regionally. So it'll be a real chance, a very interactive archive. I think it'll be a chance for people to actually create their own Britain in a Day, because there'll be a facility to create your own playlist, to pick out the films that particularly speak to you. So I hope that this will have a very long life and will be an absolutely extraordinary record and insight of what it means to be living in Britain today.
Okay, what I'd like to do is just hear from people here in the audience. Comments, questions, opinions. You've got 3 people behind the final making of this. We've got dozens of people out there who are at the first stage. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love questions. We've got one at the back.
I'd just like to know...
There's a microphone on its way to you, so you won't have to shout back at you.
Good evening. I would just like to know how you decided on the 12th of November of all the days.
Hello, Mr. Fish and Chips Man. As I know you, I would have liked to have included more of your footage, including the trip to the supermarket as well, and also the guided tour of York and the Kit Kat factory as well. I genuinely mean that. We did have more of your footage in the film at the longer cut stage. Sorry, the question was the 12th of November. Yes, it's not chosen for any particular reason, other than it took the BBC and Scott Free and YouTube, etc., some time to sort out the practicalities of making the film, and that meant that the date kind of got bumped into, I suppose, winter. I would have perhaps preferred, well, I'm very glad with the results we had, but beforehand I was thinking, oh no, it's going to be a horrible grey day and rainy, and nobody's going to be out filming, and there's hardly any daylight on the 12th of November, only about 8 hours. But as it turned out, it was a very nice day, and lots of sunshine, but it wasn't chosen for any particular reason. But I think that that's part of the reason, in a way, for choosing it, because it's just an ordinary day.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you, because I can say that is one of the most inspiring and moving pieces of television film I've ever seen. So, yeah, I cried a lot. My question, one of the most difficult things as a programme maker is music selection, and that's something that you had absolutely spot on. Was that something you had in mind before, or did you sculpt the music around the images?
And I'm sorry, I don't recognise you, so...
Oh no, I work at the BBC,
oh,
so...
That's why. I don't go there very often. Yes, it's enormously integral, as you can tell, to the film. And the composer, Martin Phipps, is a very talented man. And we spent a lot of time creating the tailoring, if you like, the music to the pictures, and the orchestration and the recording of that. It was done with a full orchestra and with a choir at Air Studios. So we kind of went to town, if you like, on the production of the music because it's so important to creating the mood of the film. In terms of the editing process, because you need music to edit to, sometimes you're editing to temp or temporary tracks, and then the composer will come in and create something that is not similar to the temp, but creates the same sort of feeling, if you like. So sometimes he's composing after, towards the end of the process, if you like, but that means that he's working with scenes which are already quite fine cut in a way. So he really knows what the kind of mood and essence of those are and is able to score to picture, if that makes sense.
Another question over here somewhere.
Question for me. Hopefully, it'll be on YouTube in January all over the world, so for free. But there may be television interest before that. Particularly, I think we think now because the eyes of the world are on the UK. So I mean, the dream is for as many people as possible across the world to see it. Because I think it is very. I mean, I find it fascinating as a native, but I think if you, as a window into Britain, it's probably quite extraordinary. I think.
Yeah, of course. Congratulations again. It was absolutely terrific, and for everyone I recognised in here.
And I recognise you as well, so
thank you.
thank you for your contribution as well.
Thank you.
And I believe that we put you to some lengths to get release forms and things like that from Australia, so
yeah,
that's very much appreciated.
no problem at all. No, I mean, I was wondering, there were some narratives in there that really stood out for me. The disabled girl, obviously the Scottish lad looking for his mum, and the dying father. But there were some bigger narratives, like the London camp and stuff like that. How much were you conscious that you were responsible for how that looked, or did it write itself for you?
Responsible in terms of how much we included, or the representation of those events?
Yeah.
Well, I think you face those situations all the time as a documentary maker, and whether it's footage that I've shot personally, or whether it's other people's footage, or whether it's archive, those are kinds of decisions that you're making, that you are ultimately responsible for the way whatever it is that you're making a film about is represented. So, I suppose I mean, it is seeing it to a certain extent through my eyes, but I try to do that fairly and objectively, and mostly without an agenda, but that's not to say that it's that there isn't any kind of meaning to be found in that either, because obviously all the choices made are very that they are choices that are made, and they're very deliberate. So yes, there is, I hope, meaning to be found in those choices, but not necessarily kind of overtly or pushing people in a direction or misrepresenting people, because I wouldn't want to do that either.
No, absolutely. It was eye-opening. Thank you.
Hi. First, I'd love to say I loved it. It was such a great film. I'd like to ask, as an aspiring director myself, I wanted to know, like, in your eyes, what was the single biggest challenge in this project, and also, do you have any sort of tips for, again, aspiring directors such as myself who are approaching their own projects? What sort of advice would you give?
It's difficult to answer in a way, but I would say that, I mean, it was an absolute pleasure to make this film, and I really genuinely enjoyed the process. So I think you need to find subjects that mean something to you, and find something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, and make a film about it if you can. And I think now that we have this the technology available to us, the means available to us, to do that relatively cheaply, although this actually wasn't a cheap film to make, but I think that we all have those capabilities, and having seen the work of many of the people in the audience, the talent as well, to do that. And there were 1,000 short films, individual short films, that could have been made out of the footage that we received. So I would just encourage the people